Rugby World Cup 2023, folks, is just over a month away. Is there a potential hardest run to the final? That's what we're going to have a look today. Does any team have a particularly easier run than others? You guys can let us know your thoughts. For this one, I've written up a piece for Planet Rugby as well. So check the link down in the description to that one. But yeah, this World Cup draw obviously had a bit of criticism for being drawn too early. And there is talk that, the pools can be a bit lopsided, especially when you look at Pool B, which has got the first-ranked team, the third-ranked team, fourth-ranked team, fifth-ranked team in the world, all in the same pool. And then Pool C's currently highest-ranked team is 8th in the world. So, yeah, World Rugby said they're going to fix that for the next one. But for now, who's got the kind of easiest run? Now, we're going to largely be basing this on the Rugby World Rankings because that's a kind of measure of where teams are at in terms of their power in the game. And you guys can let us know your thoughts, as I said. So Pool A has got two big dogs in it, obviously, in France, the hosts, and New Zealand. That's the second and third best side in the world as I sit here recording this. And they are both predicted to get out of the pool pretty well. Italy is the third ranked team, are not really predicted to cause an upset. Obviously, they're going to try their best. It's a World Cup. They'll be trying to throw a spanner in the works. But if everything goes according to what history tells us is going to happen, the All Blacks and the French are going to get out of that pool. Uruguay and Namibia are basically going to enjoy their time in the spotlight, and Italy will try their best but ultimately fall short. All Blacks and France are going to go through. They will have a titanic clash in that opening Pool A game between each other, but by all accounts, that game is just supposed to be the one that decides who finishes the pool winner and who finishes the pool runner-up. So, in terms of New Zealand and France getting out of that pool, it's not predicted to be all that hard because they don't have another top 10 side in the pool with them, despite them both being really high-ranked teams. However, where it gets trickier for Pool A is your quarterfinal because you have to face the winner or the runner-up of Pool B. So, you're basically looking at number one ranked Ireland or current world champions South Africa. So, it's a tough ask. The quarterfinals are certainly going to be a big clash between Pools A and B. If you're just looking at purely the highest ranked team in the world rankings, let's just say France go through the top qualifier. If Ireland are the runner-up, you're playing Ireland in your quarterfinal. That's the hardest opponent you can get according to the rankings. And then when you go through to your semi-final, it gets easier because you've got a lower ranked team than Ireland. Everyone's lower than Ireland at the moment. You'd be facing the highest ranked England from Pool D in a semi-final, and then your hardest opponent in the final would be swinging all the way back to your own pool to play New Zealand again. If it was New Zealand, it would be the same deal, but it would be facing France. So Ireland, England, and then your own pool mate, whoever it is, in that final for Pool A. So, yeah, some pretty tricky games. You got a top three opponent, you got a not top three opponent, but then a top three opponent again. So for Pool A, getting out of the pool is not supposed to be that hard. But the finals run, quarterfinals, semi maybe is arguably a bit easier. And then the finals is going to be pretty tough if all those events were to kind of line up. I would say the teams in Pool A will be hoping Tonga can cause some havoc, and they'll be hoping maybe Scotland can cause an upset just to spice things up a bit. For Pool B, this is kind of predicted to be like the toughest pool in the competition, right? Because you do have top five countries. Three of the top five countries in that same pool. As I mentioned, they kind of beefed up Tonga side with some eligibility guys switching into that Tonga ranks. They've impressed by beating Australia A the other week, and then Romania is there as well, kind of predicted just to make up the numbers. But yeah, Pool A looks like it's going to be a pretty nasty one in the pool stages. Not much in the way of easy games, and then your reward for getting out of Pool B is to face either Australia, New Zealand, or France. 2 or 3 in the world. So, Pool B, your initial run looks really hard. I'm going to say that pretty outright. Your pool is tough. Then you get, why do I keep saying Australia? New Zealand or France. If you can get over, let's just say highest ranked France at the moment. If you're South Africa, highest ranked opponent you can get in your quarterfinal is France, as I sit here recording this. Then same deal, you go to face England in your semi-final, and then the same deal as what was for Pool A. For your final, assuming Ireland has got through to it as well, you have to re-face Ireland in the final. So, yeah, Pool A and B. if it was to go through my world rankings, will end up with pretty horrendous runs. Similarly with Pool A, hoping Scotland can do a good job. I'm sure South Africa and Ireland will be hoping the Italians can likewise cause some havoc in the pool stages, but we'll have to see how that plays out. For Pool C, which is the one which is kind of criticised for having the lowest of the kind of top-ranked teams, because Australia is the highest ranked of those teams at the moment, and they're not in the top 5. They're kind of, at the moment, looking to maybe even slip out of the top 8 kind of thing in terms of their world rankings. But yeah, that's the pool. It's a very similar one to the 2019 World Cup. These teams always seem to bloody play each other. And then you got the Portuguese in their first World Cup, which will be an enjoyable one for them. But you feel like it's going to be a good pool in terms of also kind of no easy games. Like Fiji and Georgia are going to be just going gangbusters to try and cause any kind of upset. But if you were to assume the Aussies get through, their quarterfinal doesn't quite look as hairy as the Pool A and B quarterfinals, because you're looking at England as your current top-ranked qualifier that you could face. So if you can beat England, then it gets hairy. This is what I mean by, like, as much as the World Cup draw got a bit of stick, there's no real easy run to the final. If you're going to be the world champion, you're going to have to beat the best teams, because England would be your Pool C and Pool D quarterfinal. And then if you're just going on world rankings, then in your semi-final, Ireland, and then in your final, France. I mean, even if it wasn't them, if it's the next lowest qualifier in terms of world rankings, South Africa and New Zealand. That's not an easy semi-final or an easy final. Pool C. It's going to be an interesting pool just in terms of how many people genuinely think like Fiji. Nobody's really talking the Georgians up that much, but like about how there could be potential upsets there if if Wales or Australia kind of continue their recent slumps. But yeah, that kind of remains to be seen how that one goes. Obviously, I think if you're in Pool C in terms of your quarterfinal, you'd maybe be hoping that Japan, who's been in bad form, can potentially cause an upset over the English or the Argentinians, or maybe even the Samoans to do the same. But yeah. For Pool D is also an interesting one because it's got Japan as your second-ranked qualifier. But since the last World Cup, when they were at home, where they kind of peaked, it's no secret that they've kind of been on a bit of a decline. Obviously, the COVID thing didn't help. But certainly, they've had 3 games, as I sit here recording this, albeit not all tests, but they've had 3 games, and they've looked a wee bit lackluster. So the Japanese need to try and find a gear. But England is your top-ranked team in that pool. And Argentina, with their 1 win thus far in the Rugby Championship, are kind of looking already a bit of a dark horse, if you could even call them that, for the Rugby World Cup. So quarterfinals-wise, Pool D probably has the most kind of appealing one in facing maybe an Australia or a Wales or even a Fiji if they were to get out. Because, as I said, bit of a slump right now. I mean, in the World Cup, still heaps can happen. There's not going to be any easy games. But just on paper, as we sit here now, quarterfinal doesn't look too bad. But the same deal as with Pool C, Ireland, France, South Africa, New Zealand. Like, who do you want for your semi-final? Who do you want for your final? You're not going to get a kind of World Cup for free. There's just, I mean, you might get what's considered to be a slightly easier one game. But yeah, man, whether it's France, whether it's Ireland, whether it's New Zealand or South Africa in your semi-final or your final, there's, or even Scotland, there's no kind of easy games in that lot. So, yeah, it does look pretty tasty for mine, as much as the draw kind of gets talked up for being a little bit lopsided. Like I mentioned, you've still got potential that 2 teams from the same pool, like in 2011, could end up facing each other in the final. If you're a Pool D team, you're probably hoping that for the quarterfinals wise, the likes of a Fiji or even a Georgia could kind of get up. But yeah, we'll kind of have to wait and see, folks. But you guys let us know what you reckon. Who do you reckon does have the toughest run? Do you reckon it is those poor teams in Pool B? My gut would tell me the teams in Pool B certainly have it pretty hard. but for all intents and purposes, you're going to have to go through some of the best teams in the world to get your hands on old Bill. That's just the nature of the beast. But yeah. Anyway, you guys have any thoughts? Article down in the description for Planet Rugby. And yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.